As part of efforts to mitigate the effects of COVID-19, the federal government rolled out the 2.3 trillion naira economic sustainability plan. This is aimed at addressing the challenges facing every sectors of the economy badly hit by the pandemic. One of the areas of priority to the government in this regard is shelter, and therefore the National Social Housing Program is incorporated as a component of the economic sustainability plan. The program aims at delivering 300,000 affordable housing coupled with creation of over 1 million jobs. These will enable low-income earners to own houses ranging from 1 to 3 bedroom apartments in different parts of the country. The Central Bank of Nigeria has already committed a 2 billion naira facility to the program. The initiative is expected to encourage local content development as the materials for the housing are to be sourced locally. The questions on the lips of many Nigerians are: what strategies are in place to ensure full implementation of the scheme? What steps should be taken by will-be beneficiaries to key into the scheme? How sustainable is it? How will this stimulate the economy? Guests on Good Morning Nigeria will provide answers shortly.
Many thanks there at Kunle Adeyeye for the background. Now joining us in the studios to discuss this issue, let's welcome Mr. Femi Adewale. Adewale is Managing Director of Family Homes Fund under the Ministry of Finance. Mr. Adewale, pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
All right. Also here with us in the studios is Ms. Ime Okon. She's a Senior Special Assistant to the President on Infrastructure. Ms. Okon, pleasure to have you with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right, let's go to our Lagos Network Center. And there seated is High Chief Tajuddin Uriyomi Ayola, President, Cooperative Federation of Nigeria, CFN. He's also the immediate past President, Lagos State Cooperative Federation. Hi, Chief Ayola, thank you very much for joining us for this conversation this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
All right, so let's begin with the MD Family Homes Fund. That's Mr. Adewale. As I said earlier on, we've had, quite a number of housing initiatives, meant to bridge the housing deficits, especially for low-income earners and all that. So could you just give us an insight into what makes this very initiative and how it is different from the rest before it?
Okay, thank you, Madam, and thank you again for having me. I think there's a significant difference between this current initiative and a number that we have had in the past. And I think the first area of difference is that this initiative is heavily policy-driven. You would perhaps recall that one of the major agenda of the current government, the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, is a social intervention program, which is a focused objective of alleviating poverty among the significant population of Nigeria that are deprived by reason of the low income that they earn. And within that policy is a whole range of linked programs. So you have things like trader money, conditional cash transfer, school feeding programs, and housing comes in as part of that mix to all work together with all of those issues to ensure that Nigerians on low income, who, by the way, are the significant majority of our population, have a chance of improving their quality of life. So that's the first thing, that this initiative is founded on a very solid policy to improve the quality of life of Nigerians. The second key area of difference, particularly in respect to the Family Homes Fund, is that it was established not as a primarily government-driven initiative. It's actually a public-private partnership, in the sense that, yes, the government is providing a significant amount of seed capital, and the government's objective is to seed it with up to 500 billion naira over its life, but the fund itself has to raise in excess of 1 trillion naira to be able to prosecute the mandate that it has. That means that it has to develop a sound business discipline It has to develop a strong corporate governance. It has to be efficient to be able to attract the private sector capital that it has. The third key area of difference is about strategy, in the sense that the Family Homes Fund was not set up to build houses primarily. It's really leveraging on existing potentials and capacity within the sector, our contractors, our developers, and enabling them by giving them access to reasonably priced financing to enable them to do the building. If you recall, a lot of the previous housing program that we've had have been based on government or government agencies directly building the houses themselves. This is leveraging on existing capacity, growing existing businesses, but enabling them with access to well-priced financing to enable them to do that. The final thing I would say in terms of the area of difference, that we actually see the housing objective as a means to an end, the end being to create jobs and get money in the pockets of people. So Family Homes Funds, for example, aims to do about 500,000 homes under its core program, and under the social housing program, under 300,000 homes. But outside of that is creating 1.8 million jobs. That's about 6 new jobs per each house under the social housing program. Each of those people at the lowest level on site will earn about 2,500, 3,000 naira per day. Working about 25 days a week, that's about 75,000 naira per month. Is putting real money in the hands of real people. But beyond that is also invigorating our almost dead and comatose manufacturing sector, particularly in the built environment. Over the last 20 years, practically every of our building products are coming in from China or such other countries. We have the capacity to produce those things in Nigeria, and one of the key objectives of this program is to ensure that we are able to recover those industrial capacity. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Adewale, there are a number of issues that you clarify when the conversation continues. But let's bring in Ime Okon at this time, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Infrastructure. What's your role in this social housing program that's supposed to be launched tomorrow, and what should we expect?
That's a very good question. Essentially, since I work in the presidency advising the government on infrastructure-related issues, and my main focus is on housing, roads, and PPP. So what I do essentially with the Family Homes Fund is to, work collaboratively to ensure that they have access that they need to the presidency, and to ensure that the government policy, is, implemented to the letter. So what I have also done recently is to also, work with the cooperative, since the program has been divided in such a way that we have different, strata of people that we're going to, engage to be able to ensure that these houses get to the low income earners. Because in the past, like what he has just said, in the past, we've had different government programs that have come on board, and we are trying to ensure that this program doesn't go the same way those programs have gone. So what we've now done, we've identified the Cooperative Society of Nigeria as one key social angle that we can use to get to the poor. So I've worked with them, gone around the whole country to try to sensitize Nigerians and through cooperatives to ensure that this program is available and how they can access this program. And one of the key questions that they've asked in such interaction is, it's another politicized program. Elections are coming very soon. Now you're coming out to try to tell us that we're going to have this, and we've been able to essentially clarify. We've been able to essentially clarify their thoughts that, look, this program was designed for the masses. It has the color of the masses, and we are here with the Family Homes Fund to ensure that the program is implemented as designed by the federal government. And what other things we can also do when we go out like that, we also listen to what the people are saying. Okay, we've designed something for them in our offices. We are going out now telling them, this is what we've done. How do you think, can this work the way we have fashioned it? What other points do you think we can incorporate to ensure that you all, have access and are able, to participate in this program? So essentially to be there with the team and ensure that as the program is designed, it is implemented, and if there are any political issues that need to be addressed, then we're there to help them sort it out.
What is the design of the program?
Designed specifically for low-income earners. You see, we've had...
I'm not saying the design of the houses. I'm saying the design. You talked
that's
about
what I'm
design of the program.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you now. You know, this emanated from what we've seen, the global pandemic, COVID. And every other country responded somewhat to say, how do we help our citizens, you know, to manage the impact of COVID? COVID affected everything, the economic, you know, affected us economically, socially. So we also sat back as a government and said, okay, we need to come up with a plan that would help us to cope. And the plan was the Economic Sustainability Program. And the Economic Sustainability Program identified key sectors in the economy that we can, you know, create some form of activities. So by the time we create those activities, it catalyzes into different activities in the economy. Housing, everybody knows, is very people-oriented. We have a lot of artisans. We have a lot of people that are at the lower level that work, you know, in the housing sector. We have artisans, we have laborers, we have, you know, different people that earn money on a daily basis. COVID affected a lot of those people that earn money on a daily basis. So the design that we have for this program is essentially working with those low-income earners. We are building houses in different sites. We are asking that all the artisans, the small SME partners, because in any economy, the SME sector is what helps you to kickstart your economy and to build it, to sustain activities in the economy. So we've asked that the SMEs, those small and medium enterprises, come, tell us, show us where your skill sets are. You can take each site and work there. And if you work on each site, you are able to, you know, engage, employ a lot of those daily pay workers, so that the impact of that COVID is mitigated somewhat because they have work that they go to and they have work that will give them money.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to Lagos now. Hi, Chief Tajuddin Uriyomi. I want to presume that you are the link between the initiators, implementers, and of course, those who will be house owners. You know, low income has become an omnibus, you know, referring to so many people to the extent that we don't even know who is now a low income earner, because by the time you get to see the whole package, you know, Mr. Adewale here has talked about it will become sound business discipline. He will get to explain what that means. Sound corporate governance, he will get to explain what that means. Ime here has talked about the fact that this is an initiative that has the color of the people. I don't know what she means by that, but what do you understand from your, you know, tell us so that those who fall within the group of low-income earners will understand what this scheme is really all about.
Thank you very much. Once again, let me start by saying that we need to actually commend the government on this program. Just as we have heard from Mr. Adewale, this is a program that is quite different from the previous one. That when you are talking of low-income housing, we have seen that this is real low-income housing program. And when we heard of this, the cooperative with our platform and our structure, and with our people, we feel that our platform will be the best for the implementation of this program. So we provided the platform for the government to implement the program among all other platforms. And in terms of definition of being low income, the government itself actually defined it, that people earning 100,000 naira per month or low. But beyond that, we feel that in our own movement, a movement of more than 20 million Nigerians, we have a great number of people who are actually people with income that are not sustaining them enough to have housing over their heads. Therefore, we feel that the program is actually meant for majority of our members. Of course, we have categories of cooperators in Nigeria, and we have them in all the sectors of Nigerian economy. But of course, we have majority of us as market women, market men, artisans, and junior workers in the government establishment, even in private sectors. We have all of them. Therefore, we feel that, this is the best program for us. And providing our platform will actually assist the government to get to the targeted population. And not only that, it will also assist the government to get this program delivered in bulk to the people that are actually in need of it, and make it more convenient and even more effective for the government to use our platform. And that is our own connection into this. And just as I said, the cooperative platform is well structured, that the government will actually get to their targeted population.
Thank you very much, Chief Ayeola. Mr. Femi Adewale, is this program targeted now at members of cooperatives, or is it generally to low-income earners when the programs, projects, that's to say now the houses get to be delivered? Because listening to Ayeola in Lagos, it appears to be that cooperatives will be the primary target. And assuming they are the primary target, what then would be unique about this whole effort? You're talking about PPP. I'm sure probably you are aware that there are a number of cooperative organizations throughout the country, particularly in urban areas, that have been acquiring land and building estates. You have them here in Abuja, you have them in Lagos, you have them in other locations. So what's unique about this new idea? Okay. Assuming it's a new one.
Thank you very much. I think if you allow me, let me just kind of step back a little bit to address the design issue, because that's actually quite fundamental. The design of this program, the mass housing program, is that the Family Homes Fund, along with our partners, are providing financing for primarily private and public sector developing organization. So that could be a private sector developer or a housing corporation or a government agency like the Federal Housing Authority. Okay? So we get money in their hands. A critical condition of them accessing that capital is that they must mobilize demand. So we're not speculating in building. They need to mobilize and identify who the buyers need to be ahead of building. Okay, and ensuring that there's a match between the houses that are built and the people who actually will live in them. And the design of the program identifies cooperatives as already existing capacity within the society. They're in excess, as I said, of 20 million Nigerians at various cadres. So we have cooperatives of butchers, we have cooperatives of mechanics, we have cooperatives of Okada riders, as we have cooperatives of oil workers earning millions of naira. So the idea is that the cooperative present a ready platform of aggregating, identifying and aggregating demand. And that is led to the relationship with the Cooperative Federation of Nigeria, which is not a single cooperative, it's actually a network. Is the overarching body that brings together all of the cooperatives. And what they have done over the last 3 or 4 months is brought together all of the cooperatives from across the 36 states of Nigeria, identified them, sought their interest, and on the back of that, as part of the design of the program, one of the things that's being launched tomorrow is the housing portal. That allows individuals, the cooperative, but also ordinary members of the public to go online and express interest. So we are able to capture their data. They can access information about where the houses are being built, what they can afford, so that we actually are able to get to them. The portal, as I said to you,
artisans and mechanics will be accessing the portal.
Sorry?
So artisans and mechanics.
No, they won't. They won't. And that is the reason why you have a cooperative, because now they have an intermediary that enables them to do that. Okay, so whilst a keke napep rider can't access, he has a cooperative and he has support to enable him actually to enter into that program. And that is the reason for that design. But beyond the construction, the idea also, I think my colleague Ime said, is the fact that the actual building of the houses, and in fact, before I get there, I should say this, that one of the key determinants ensuring that the house gets to the people who need them is pricing. So a key condition for accessing the capital is, one, you need to have identified the demand. 2, the pricing of the unit to the end user has to fall within a specified range. And the idea is that the lowest cost units, which are a two-room unit, should be no more than 2 million naira. Okay, in addition to which they are given a long-term opportunity up to 15 years.
2 million.
2 million naira.
Are these mud houses or?
No,
I'm sure you know the price of a bag of cement.
Absolutely, and one of the things that is happening tomorrow is that I will invite you, literally 5 miles from here, in Day, is a sample home, because one of the things the family home son wanted to do, in the light of similar cynicism, is to say, let's build the houses. Let's build really and let people see them and keep a clear record of, is this possible to do? So those houses are there on the ground today. A 2 and a 3 bedroom unit. They are visible for all to see. And one of the key things that's happening tomorrow as we launch the portal is also to do a press so that see that actually it is possible. And I think that for those of us who are middle income people, we sometimes don't understand the needs of those people who we are trying to house. For somebody who is living in a slum where his family and his toilet and his kitchen is in a single 6x6 room and he has to share other conveniences with about 8 other families, moving him into a small house that he has his own kitchen, he has his own toilet, is a big leap in the quality of his life. And that is what this program, targeted at Nigeria's lowest income people, is aimed at doing. And I think it's decidedly focused on that.
When you say targeted at lowest income people, and these people are within cooperatives, have you actually taken a look at the people who are within these cooperatives? And how are you going to ensure that this thing is not hijacked from those who actually need the houses?
Okay, I can respond to that, and that is what the partnership with CFN is about. It's about saying that these people have an organization that speaks to them, that gets information to them, that organizes them, that protects them. And I think we underestimate them. So in Ibadan, for example, we're looking to work with a group of their just mechanics, roadside mechanics, who have formed themselves. They had not been formed before, but being aware of this, they formed themselves into a group. Okay? And so we're interested in this, but we can't access the finance. We can't access the housing portal. The CFN and its partners is providing them with that intermediation to ensure that they have access to it. And the fact that they are in a group helps give them that protection about somebody else coming in to take it away from them.
I know, Mr. Adewale, I mean, the temptation is strong to remain with you so that we quickly trash out one aspect. We're talking about the range of the cost of the homes, say for the lowest range, probably not more than 2 million naira. That's why I interjected and asked whether these would be mud houses. Just trying to reflect. I mean, it's what are the components you need for a house, even if it's a 1-bedroom house? When you break down those components, I don't know what your latest price intelligence tells you. You think you can deliver those homes at 2 million? I don't know. You can see in recent months, the rate of inflation has climbed, and I believe that your program, of course, will also be impacted by other macroeconomic indices. So what are the things you need? You need sand, sharp sand. You need plaster sand, ultimately. You need granite. You need cement. As I said, a bag of cement I hear now is about 3,000 or 3,500. Bag of cement. And you would need your windows. Everybody is using aluminum frames now, and you can see what the cost is. You would need your doors. You would need, if the rafters or the formwork for your roof, assuming you have wood, if they have not denuded the forest. And then, of course, you would need long-span aluminum sheets, roofing sheets.
You didn't tell me we've come.
No, it's not a matter. I mean, if you have built a house before, you will know some of these. You will know these things.
Absolutely.
I mean, at my age, I shouldn't. If I were to sit down here and tell you I don't have a house, you'll be wondering what has happened to me. But just breaking it down, you think I'm not talking about building a mansion. I'm just saying, because you say, look, we are moving from a face me, I face you, to a one-bedroom apartment. all the conveniences you would need, the conveniences, your wiring, your cabling, everything. I mean, just break it down.
Okay, let me break it down. I happen to have been an architect for about 35 years.
Congratulations.
So I think I know a little bit about what it takes to build it. And I totally understand the headwind that we face now in terms of inflation over the last 4 weeks. But I think the temptation is to be boxed, to restrain our thinking within that box. The world of housing finance has gone beyond that. That actually the sales price to the person does not necessarily mean that that is the cost price of building the houses, because there's such a thing as cross subsidies. That is, I'm able to build. So it's rather than the practical of building solution that you are suggesting, that's a financial solution, in the sense that I can build a more expensive house. I can build a 10, 15 million, which is the kind of house that you probably want to build, and use the surplus from that to cross-subsidize a lower income house that makes it accessible to low income people. And this has become a strategy right across the world. It's the reason why you can go into London and in a block of £1 million apartment, you find the social housing units there. Because that social housing unit doesn't cost £30,000. It probably costs £500,000. But it's being subsidized, cross-subsidized, because of the higher value units that are within that program. Okay, so it's not a silver bullet. Of course, we've done everything possible, including support from the government. We're talking to cement manufacturers to get a discount for cement that is going into this program. So we're working on that. But we're also working outside that. What can we do with respect to VAT? A low-income person who has to buy a 2 million naira house still has to pay 7.5% VAT at the point of purchase. We're working on how can we leverage cross-subsidy to ensure, because the issue is not the process. The issue is the solution that we have today. Significant numbers of our populations who are living in unhealthy conditions with significant pressure on their educational outcomes, significant pressure on their health outcomes, therefore pressure on our health system, significant pressure on our security. We must solve it. And therefore, we can't restrain the solution to what is the price of cement and the price of roofing sheets. Those are there. We've just got to solve them. And I think what the Family Homes Fund stands to do is to leverage our own experience and knowledge to look for ways within the building sector, within the financial services sector, to solve those problems. And I think that's what we're doing. That is why those two units are standing there, and I think you can see them. And very soon, over the next 6 months, you will find thousands of them across the country.
Well, thanks, Mr. Adewale. I just email Kohn, still on this and other aspects you may wish to explain, because it's not cynicism per se, but as my colleague Claire asked, look, we've seen a broad array of housing initiatives in recent decades. I mean, if you were around during the Second Republic, you would recall the housing agenda of the central government and then some of the state governments. Much earlier in the First Republic, you had housing corporations, one in Akure, for instance, and they also had a football club. We used to beat them, that's Bendel Insurance. But just so that we don't run the risk of something, run into some risk. I'm happy that Mr. Adewale has tremendous experience in this regard. Part of what you find these days, if you were to go to the market, for the developers or for those who want to build on their own, you are asked, is this house you want to build, is it your own or is for contract? True or false?
That is true.
So, how do you factor that into this so that the homes you build for these persons and they willingly and happily move in do not begin to collapse on them when termite begins to eat the rafters? You are smiling. So that the homes are durable.
The way the houses have been built right now, they are extremely durable. Before this one that we've started, we have the house at Nasarawa, which was built under Family Homes Fund itself, outside of the government program that we're talking about now. And that essentially is housing low-income earners. And we invite you to check it out also. Federal Road Safety Corporation, they've taken over those houses, and the houses are extremely durable. I can live there. So and it's a very key point that you've raised, that if the prices sound ridiculously cheap, the outcome, would it be something somebody can live in? And that's what we are also trying to ensure, because we have quality control. We have a lot of document that Family Homes Fund has prepared for the builders, for the building companies, and we'll have management contractors on each site that would oversee the work that will be done in each of the sites. So we also have the bill of quantity that has also been approved. Like Femi also said, that the price, the end user price, is quite different from the cost price. So since we've built something down now, we have a prototype. We know exactly what it will take. Yes, there's a lot of concessions that we have to make, and we also got from, from the manufacturers and from the distribution suppliers of all of this product. Another key thing you should also...
Who are these manufacturers, for instance? Name
we
the
have
products.
People like the Dangote that we're working with.
That's cement, just one?
Yeah, that's cement, and Femi can also give us the names of others, but we have a lot of them that we've sat down at the round table to tell them that, look, on our own, if we follow the market, indicators, we're not going to be able to build this, so we need a lot of concessions. And I can also take you back before Family Homes Fund, actually started production. We did try something like this, where the federal government set up a task force to ensure that, look, because it's one of the key, points of this present administration, that people should be housed. The low income should be housed, because what we see in Abuja, we see a lot of, mid houses and very expensive houses, all of them still empty. So the key point is, look, we have a lot of slums. I don't know how many of you have gone out to see the slum situation is quite appalling. So moving those people from the slum into these houses does make a lot of sense. And the quality control, we are not, we're not glozing over it. We're taking it seriously. So for each site, we have all the prerequisites, and we have all the supervisors that will ensure that the houses, the final outcome, will not be a house that will turn, or an estate that will eventually turn into a slum. So the price point, like we said, disregard it. It sounds ridiculous, but we've been able to achieve it with a lot of concessions in terms of access to free land, because, land is also a key component of building. We've had conversations with all the Governors Forum all across Nigeria, and they've all promised, most of them have put land on the table for us to be able to build these houses, because there's no gainsaying that even if you build a house that is not easily accessible to the city centers where most of these people go to work, you'll find that the uptake would also be an issue. So that's why we're ensuring that the places where we get the land to build the houses are in key locations that the low-income earners can easily have access. I don't know why you keep laughing about this.
When you say, because look, there are market issues in this. Market issues. And I'm happy you already touched on the issue of land, because one of the points that I noted, the price of land. And the artisans and mechanics and those whom you want to access these homes or these houses once they are built are persons who normally will ply their trade, in business activity areas. So, if a state government, I'm not being prejudicial in my comment, if a state government promises you land, you can be sure it will be on the outskirts.
That's what I said.
You can be sure, Femi is smiling, you can be sure it will be on the outskirts.
We have criteria that we usually put on the table when we access.
Yes.
Access to the... Femi, go ahead.
Okay, let's bring, yes, Kingsley, and it's a very good point you made. Again, on the outskirts, do you have access to other social amenities, water, electricity,
infrastructure,
good road? Okay. You are SA infrastructure. Do you also ensure that those services are available?
Yeah, that's what we're saying. This is a collective responsibility for all arms of government. The federal government is not exclusive of the state government. We've had conversations with the state government, and we've told them the type of land that we want. And so far, what we've received from the state government have been the kind of lands that have this access to the city center. If you look at the Dede location, for instance, it's very close to town. It's very close to town.
Day is not very close to town.
It's close, relative to where.
It's not,
Relative for the
Day is
people.
closer to Zuba.
No, but
on the
but
Abuja Kaduna Highway or Abuja Gwagwalada
Okay,
Highway.
for those people that you're looking at, the low-income earners, do you check where they live? Some of them live in Niger, some live in Kaduna.
Let's bring
so
them.
looking at those people living in Kaduna, Niger, and then bringing them closer to the city, that is still relatively close.
Okay. Hi, Chief. I'm sure you must have seen the houses already on ground, the one in Nasrawa and Dede. If you have, I'd like you to tell us what you think about those houses for you. Would you live in those houses? And in terms of payment, are you comfortable with with the ceiling? Do you think it's something that your members can afford?
Thank you very much. I think we need to make some clarifications too. Now, in terms of land, the state government had to provide land for this program. But in addition also, with our discussion with family homes, that we have many of our societies with their own land. We do acquire lands in cooperative societies, and we request that these houses be built on this land. And this has been accepted for our members, basically our members alone anyway. Now, I think that also should be considered. And in terms of the houses, we have seen it, and we feel that when you talk of cooperatives, or you talk of Cooperative Federation of Nigeria, the Cooperative Federation of Nigeria is an umbrella of all the cooperatives in Nigeria. And when you talk of cooperative in Nigeria, we have different types, different categories. We have millionaires cooperative, we have middle-income cooperative, we have the lowest of the low-income cooperatives. I'm aware we have NTA staff cooperative and the rest. Therefore, these houses, just as it has been said, is meant for the people at the bottom of the ladder of the society. And when you talk of a 3-bedroom flat, 2-bedroom flat, a room and parlor self-contained, as it has been structured, I think it is okay for us. And at the same time, we feel that provision of infrastructural facility, just as Ime said, is the responsibility of the government. And we have also requested, apart from the link to the main city, even within the estate, all this necessarily need to be provided. As a matter of fact, it's as if we have a telepathic communion of opinion, as those questions we are actually asking from the government official, that is Madam Ime with you, that these houses, just as we have been told and we believe, is quite different from the previous one. Apart from being low cost, it's actually being addressed, being designed to address the needs of the low-income earners in the society. Not mainly for all the cooperators, not only for Nigerians, but the low-income earners, people that actually live, about 6, 7, 8 of them live in just only one room. Some people living under the bridge. We have identified a set of people that they ride the Okadas, and if you see where they live, in fact, where they live can even instigate them to go into crimes. But when we have a room and parlor apartment for them, and with the convenience of payment being spread over a period of 25 years for some of them, of course, that can never be all of them, but for some of them, I think it's a good thing for us, and it's a good thing for Nigerians, and the government should be commended for that. The only thing that we just need to say that is the commitment with which we are talking now should be the same thing with which it should be implemented.
Just wondering, is that clear? Chief Ayeola, in terms of philosophy, in terms of orientation towards solving the housing needs of low-income earners, I'm sure you recognize that there is no disagreement, as it were. It is just on how this will be delivered and the issues to bear in mind. And as has been pointed out, look, we have decades of experience now on promises to deliver mass social housing, and oftentimes those programs take off, and after a while, everything peters out. We've had in this studio conversation around FISH, F-I-S-H, Program for Housing for Public Servants. Where is it today? We had 100,000 mortgages. Where is that? We discussed it on Good Morning Nigeria. So there's an experience from which we can speak. And these ones are just recent experiences. But as I said, you saw what happened in the Second Republic. Those Jakande homes or houses you refer to in Lagos, they're also there. You also saw some federal houses in a number of towns when MPN was building theirs, and UPN states were also building there. But I still want to stay with you, Chief Ayola, so that we're looking at some of the likely impediments and how to overcome them before challenges begin to arise. You say a number of cooperatives acquire land. Yes, that is true. And you hear them, approaching you for advice or counsel. But it also has turned out that oftentimes, some of these cooperatives run into challenges with the validity of their titles. Here in Abuja, for instance, I'm sure you must have heard what happened, so-called acquisition by one or two of government security agencies along Airport Road or Lugbe. FHA issued a warning to trespassers to vacate the land. And those who had already started construction, they put their hands on their head, and we're all over the place. And you have also seen in some cases where not just another government agency who is an overlord in terms of title holding, communities from which they acquire those lands, communities now begin to make all kinds of demands, even after they would have paid, but without perfecting the title. How are you likely to deal with these issues so you don't go and start construction on the land, so that instead of an Okada rider or the low-income earner to go home and sleep, every time it's issues with Omonile and others?
Thank you very much. The issue of land, it goes beyond that of cooperative alone. It has to do with the land system in Nigeria. And at the same time, you look at that, we have been on this for long, and will continue to be on it. Here in Lagos and some other states in the southwest, it has gotten to a level that even the federation itself will need to come in, and we have to see government officials. Even sometimes we have had the opportunity of going to see the governor on some of our lands, and I think this will continue. And the government has a lot to do on that too. Now, on the issue of the housing itself, let me also come back to say that what we have devised as in terms of taking care of some of this concern is one, take issue of mortgage, for example. We have to bring in our own bank, that is a cooperative mortgage bank, because this is a bank that actually understands our own language. Therefore, if you want to deal with us in terms of, as it relates to mortgage, you also need to deal with our bank. And the government has accepted that from us. And with that, we also feel much more comfortable with that. And at the same time, even the construction, the building of these houses, we will actually need to take active part in supervision, in seeing to it that the developer are doing the right thing. And at the same time, we are much more on ground, and we have access to family homes. We have access to the office of the vice president to make complaint if we see anything that is going wrong that we don't actually want. And at the same time, we have also requested from the government that, okay, see, we have an administration that is having less than 3 years to go. Hope this program will not just pack up with the administration. And we are sure that the essence of family homes being brought into it as the implementing agency is that it's more or less on its own now. It's a program that is being implemented through an agency that cannot be totally said to be of government. And we believe that is also a big factor in ensuring that we have a solid system in place for this housing. And the issue of cooperative land on its own. We have a number of cooperatives with CFO and title documents that even with that, let's go with that first. And we see, they said the 300,000 units is at the first instance. Before we go into another phase, at least with our societies, with original titles, in fact, the 300,000 housing units will not even be enough for us.
Okay, thank you. So, Ime, I would like you to address that issue that Kingsley. Are there plans, to address those issues should they arise?
Repeat the issue.
Yes,
Particular issue.
Kingsley asked the question about, when the issue of titles and, certification of, documents.
Okay, we've done a lot in that regards. As I mentioned earlier, before Family Homes Fund became fully operational, we had a presidential task force that was set up, and one of the things that we looked at was, titling and ensuring that each of the lands that we have access to has appropriate title. So the Minister of Housing then was in charge of that task force. So to enable enable the task force to have access to any of the governors that we need to talk to. So we've gone round, and what we did was to try to do an audit of most of the federal government programs that titling is an issue, and I don't recall any one of them really that are titling issues. So, but the ones that came to us, like from the private sector, because then we try to engage the private sector, whatever we're trying to do now, we're trying to ensure that there's sustainability, and sustainability is just not depending on government resources, also trying to engage the private sector. So we had engaged the private sector developers, engaged marketers, engaged all through the value chain to see how we can collaborate in terms of, okay, if we don't have sufficient land, because sometimes in actual fact, like in Lagos now, you can't expect really to get the land in the city. So in some states where we don't have the kind of land that we need to build the estates, that by the time we finish, the people that stay there stay in there and not emigrate again to other places to cause slums, we try to engage with the private sector. And as the president has said, we also work with their own land. So as I was saying, the task force then had reached out to the private sector developers. If you have land that you can, give to the government, we can work out the modalities of how we can get those lands. Then we're trying to create a land bank for Family Homes Fund, because realize that, as we've all identified, that land is a key component of having any form of low-cost housing. So we had tried to ensure that we had a sufficient land, available for Family Homes Fund. So when they would start running rather than, going cap in hand to look for lands everywhere. So we had reached that situation where we got land that were not encumbered, and the ones that were encumbered, we went out to the state government to ensure that we had the right titling, done for those lands. So as I mentioned, I know these are all ongoing conversations. They keep coming up because land is key in any of the states and to the federal government also. But as they come, we have that understanding and the cooperation of all the state government that, look, this must work. And if this has to work, and if titling is an issue, we will try to resolve it. And before I even go further, we also have the federal government agency, a government agency, that not government agency per se, but was created by government agency with the mindset of also, collaborating with the private sector, NMRC, the Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Company. So what they have also tried to do is to try to work with each of the state government to ensure that they reform their titling system, like what we have in Aegis. Aegis is a model for us to look at in terms of titling and having all your land in one pot. So if any investor wants to see if any land is encumbered, they know where to go to and they check. So NMRC is going round for all the states that have agreed to work with them to try to ensure that what we have in Aegis in Abuja is replicated in all the states. So when you go as an investor to a state, for instance, like Gombe, and you've indicated where you want the land, you've seen the land, you're in the process of buying, you can take the particulars of those land and go to that Aegis, like institution in that state to ensure that there's no encumbrance. And if there's any encumbrance, you can always run back to the government to get it sorted out.
A number of state governments have already started setting up their GIS.
Exactly.
Nasarawa, close by here, has one.
Exactly.
Cross River has one. Edo State has one.
So we're working with them to ensure that is sustainably done.
Has tried to do that. But there are issues which would...
That's why we're here, working with them.
Hang on a second. There are issues, but we're going to have to take a short break now. When we return from the break, we'll look at some of those issues and also read out the comments coming in from our viewers by way of tweets.
All right, we're having a very interesting conversation right here in the studio. Don't worry, in a short while you'll soon get to hear the gist. But let's quickly take our tweets that we have received. I expected the number of tweets that we have this morning. Kingsley, you want to kick off? Okay. Yeah. Omogbalaho Babs, Omo Naija tweets, the National Housing Scheme is long overdue, but then it's better late than never. If successive governments over the years have taken the issue of housing seriously, Nigeria wouldn't have had a housing deficit of almost 20 million. The cost should be affordable for the poorest of the poor.
Now, Festus Akimboyewa has a long one, so we're going to have to abridge it. In 2017, the federal government promised to address our housing needs by building thousands of houses under the National Housing Project. But where are the houses today? It would be good if government can fulfill its recent promise, because the housing sector is a tool for stimulating economic growth. State governments and the private sector should key into this laudable program.
And Titus Monday Knock tweets, it says housing has become a mirage to the common man. Come to think of it, with 30,000 naira as minimum wage, it will take about 6 to 8 decades before one can afford to buy a land or house with proper documentations. You know, talk less of building and real estate managers and helping matters. Sometimes they vanish into thin air.
Chris Simeon, housing is one of the basic necessities government should provide for its citizens. The rising cost in acquiring apartments in Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, and other cities has become worrisome to potential tenants.
Suleiman Babagana tweets, government should go into a sustainable PPP agreement with relevant stakeholders to ensure delivery of high number of houses to deserving civil servants at affordable rate. Continuity of the scheme by successive administration should also be put into consideration.
Mutana Farouk, National Housing Scheme, government needs to form a strong and sincere synergy with private developers to enter a joint venture agreement for the purpose of delivery. Now, government alone can't do it, as the government revenue keeps dwindling through or low oil prices and other issues.
Cecilia Okoroma, if shelter is provided for low-income earners, Nigeria will see peace. We know that the devil uses the man who is homeless and hungry as a tool to cause destruction. We pray that the privileged few will not buy up these houses that are targeted for the ordinary Nigerians.
Suleiman Babagana, National Housing Scheme, that's a social housing program, by the way, should be a tool geared towards bridging the housing deficit, confronting civil servants and the junior cadre, and not a reward to top executives of MDAs who are not a priority at the moment.
Ibrahim Abdul Salam Bello, Nigeria has so many eye-catching policies, it says, that are so welcoming, but at the end of it all, we will fall short while implementing. If and only if our paperwork can match our actions, then we will be living in paradise on earth. Thank you, all of you, for your tweets, and we do share, of course, in your optimism that some of you have expressed. So, before Kingsley, I know, Kingsley, you want to talk about certain issues.
Yeah, maybe that's just before it flies away.
Yes.
I mean, either Femi or Emil can take this, because, Clay, you actually touched on it earlier on, namely, we're talking about apparently virgin land now, because that will be cheaper to develop, and you have the PPP factor in all this. So the cost of the home is so much. I mean, by the time you graduate them, the cost will also rise. But we know that infrastructure is key. Infrastructure, not just within the estate, if we can so describe it, where the houses will be built, but access into and out. And one experience that we have seen here in Abuja, some of the areas that have now opened up, private developers were giving land in the land swap deal and so on and so forth. So they, of course, divided those lands into various plots and started selling. But the obligation that they had to provide infrastructure, that obligation was never fulfilled in most cases. So that going to your home, you have built a nice house, going to your house becomes a nightmare. And the property owners now started to, on their own, make contributions to do all of this. Can we avoid this? Because for low-income earners, you can be sure that it is how you built it there, the place, it will remain the way it is. You want to get them out of the slum, so you don't create another slum. How do we avoid this, or how do we tackle this problem? You're familiar with some of these things I'm talking about.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And I think that, as the mayor said, for us at the Family Homes Fund, it's absolutely critical that we are building homes that are accessible and have suitable infrastructures. And we're just not saying that. As we speak today, barely 2 years in operation, we have just under 15,000 homes that are at various stages of completion or completed. Every one of them has infrastructure either funded by us or by the partner government. Last week, Monday, so a week yesterday, I was in a state, I shouldn't mention the state, absolutely beautiful location, but there was a 6-kilometer gap between the main road and the estate. And I spoke to the leaders, and as I said, look, this is a lovely project. We'd like to fund this project, but we can't until we have a cast iron commitment that the infrastructure leading to that road will be provided. So that's the second issue. We're insisting on it. But we also understand the fact that we can't really put all of that on the back of somebody else. It's good if it comes. So one of the key funds that the Family Homes Fund itself manages is the Land and Infrastructure Fund. And the objective of the Land and Infrastructure Fund is that where you have some of these estates which otherwise are appropriate for living, but what we call the last mile infrastructure, so the connection between the bulk infrastructure and the edge of the estate, that we will look to finance that bit, certainly ahead of government where the government is not able to do that. And we're currently doing that in one of the southeastern states, for example. But on the principle, absolutely agree with you. Our sites in Kano, in Borno, in Yobe, in Bauchi, they are all on the edge of major highways and accessible. You mentioned the failed housing projects, and the Shagari one, which we applaud, because my sense to this project is that
I didn't say Shagari project was failed.
No, it didn't.
Was a failure. I didn't say that.
We learned from them. And one of the key issues, I think Ime also mentioned, is that we understood that we needed to develop a strong partnership with the state government, that the state government needed to see what was in it for them in this project. And I think to date we have very strong commitment. In many cases, the land has been issued by state governments. Borno State, Kwara State, Ogun State, Akwa Ibom State have given generous allocations of land. Zamfara, Sokoto, generous allocations of land with CFO to the Family Homes Fund in decent locations to finance this project. So that's one lesson that we have learned. The second lesson which you picked up was the issue around the quality. We're absolutely clear that these houses can only be built by people who are certified to build houses.
Okay, I would always like to speak for the people. And it's beautiful initiative. I mean, there's no doubt about that. You've seen the tweets. Everyone is commending the initiatives. And government, indeed, is not short of such initiatives. I mean, just a few years ago, we had fish. A number of my colleagues in the civil service are still hoping that their dreams of owning a house via fish comes true. So how are you going to ensure that indeed this project is not hijacked and those for whom it was designed actually get, to own a house?
Okay. But I think, look, you've advised me not to get into the fish issue.
I'd like you to speak to, because these are the issues.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So with respect to the latter issue about that those for whom it's intended is not hijacked, as I think the English say, there's security in numbers. Okay, one of the key things that led us in the design to working with either cooperatives and or organized groups was that it's much easier for people to have access to what is built to them when they are working together, rather than individual people that are discrete and nobody really knows where they are. They have, so for example, he mentioned some of the low-income groups. They have, even if we tried to, or somebody tried to cheat them, they have an enlightened CFN to speak up for them and to protect them. So some form of consumer protection that ensures that they have access for that. That's also part of the objective of the portal, that actually there can be a tracing. Who is this person and what is the house that they've intended? And now, beyond 1979, some of the data that we have now, we didn't have then. So we know that if you have a BVN, you can't afford to allocate 10 houses because there's a unique identifier to your person. Okay, so do we have it all right? I don't think so. And I think that we will continue to improve and hopefully stay one step ahead of people who want to abuse the system. There will always be people who want to take advantage of the system. Our job is to ensure that we do all that we can to ensure that we stay ahead of people like that. And I think I can assure Nigerians that we are passionate and committed to ensuring that these houses end up in the hands of the people for whom it's intended, that is people who are on low income. And we'll do all that we can within our knowledge to ensure that that is what happens. We can't help people who want to abuse the system, but we will fight them and do everything possible in the design to make sure that that does not become a defining characteristic of the program.
What's the payment model like?
Okay, so the payment model is the fact that depending on individual circumstances, they can have between 15 to 25 years to pay for the houses. So obviously depending on the age. So there are two different arrangements for paying. There are people who, if they are current subscribers to the National Housing Fund, because they're already making those payments, they're able to access the National Housing Fund. And part of this program is hopefully to provide some capital for that. But we understand that that capacity is limited. So the intervention fund, which is coming for the program, allows for the repayment of the houses for 15 years as a minimum. Okay? So people, when the houses are complete, people as individual contracts pay on a daily basis. Now, because Family Homes Fund is not a retail organization, we'll be working with mortgage banks to ensure that to service those loans post-construction.
Fine. You just talked about financing. This is clearly a case of mortgage.
Yes.
But you do know that if the property is priced at 2 million, by the time all kinds of interests and administrative costs get in, probably slightly more than 2 million. I hope that the off-takers will be aware of this so that somebody doesn't then say, look, they said that this was going to be 2 million. I've already paid almost 3 million and they still say I'm owing. You know? I hope they're aware of this.
I'm aware of that, and I think as I mentioned earlier, one of the key things that we're trying to address in partnership and with the support of government is some of those fees which go on top of the purchase price. So today in Nigeria, if you want to buy a home, regardless of your income, you pay a VAT on the purchase of the car. This is actually quite unusual in very many African countries, and I think that we've had very supportive and listening ears from government, and I think that we will be looking to ensure that we get a waiver, if possible, for VAT on housing for low-income people. That immediately takes that out. There's then the stamp duty costs, okay, which is another fee that goes on to the high purchase. There's the legal fees. Now that is within our control because given the volume, we put a lot. We have the leverage to impose an affordable rate on legal fees that's applicable to buyers. So for us, this is more than a project. It's a social mission to ensure that we get those houses in the hands of those who need them most at a price that they can afford. And I totally agree with you that there's a significant amount of add-on cost to purchase prices. We need to get to the bottom of those. Some is not within our power, but we're seriously advocating. And as I said, we've got very strong supportive ears to ensure that that will happen. And so I think that is a risk that we are going to significantly mitigate.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Adewole. Let's return to Chief Ayola in our Lagos Network Center. Chief Ayola, well, are cooperative members aware of this program that is going to be launched tomorrow? And if they are aware, what feedback are you getting from them? Are they enthusiastic about it? Are they asking questions? If they're asking questions, what kind of questions are they posing?
The cooperatives and cooperative members, they are well all over Nigeria. Just as Ime said, we have been going all over Nigeria to actually sensitize our members about the program. We have been to all the geographical zones in Nigeria. The latest one was in Kano, that's northwest, and we had good feedback from our members. They were happy, and many of societies with land are already showing interest. And as at now, we have many of our societies which have shown interest. We have their lands being structured actually to kickstart the program. And we still go ahead. We are using all the platform we have, all the means we have to get our members informed. For tomorrow, launching of the portal and the prototype units, they are also aware. Since we got the information, we have got them informed about this, and I think we are ready for the program. We are ready. Just as you have been asking, I just want to use this opportunity to appeal to the government that they keep to their own terms of the bargain, and we continue with the commitment with which we have started. Looking at the issue of land, to us is not a main issue per se, because everything has to do with government. With the Omoniles, we are very much aware of them, and they are even part of us. We don't have much problem with them. But government allocating land today, tomorrow, revoking the license and all those things, these might be problems. But without that, I don't think we have any much problem with this. And with the commitment of family homes and with the track record, we feel that we are very much good to go.
Thank you very much, Chief Ayola. I just would like Mr. Femi Adewole to speak to this issue. Is there a time limitation for this program, or is the Family Homes Fund structured as a going concern? Self-succession, no matter what happens and so on and so forth, so that somebody doesn't then get into this now, and then you are saying that, look, that family, I mean, I don't want to be pessimistic, but you know the way things go. I mean, if there's no perpetual self-succession, there might be issues that will arise. So what is the legal framework for family homes itself, which is the primary driver of this?
Okay, thank you very much. A Family Homes Fund is a private limited liability company. It happens that its shareholding is by first the Ministry of Finance. On behalf of the federal government, it holds 51% of its shares, and the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, the NSIA, owns 49% of its shares. So it's structured as a going concern. It has revenue yielding assets stretching far back into 10 years. So it's built to stay here. Going forward, there are plans to bring in other investors into the company. So it is structured as a going concern, and that's what I talked earlier about the corporate governance around the institution. Now, with respect to the social housing program itself, it is just that it is a program. It's just one of the many things that the Family Homes Fund is doing. We've said ourselves that by the last unit should be completed no more than 3 years. Okay, and I think we are heading off to a good start with that. We are acquiring the land. The capital is there with the support of the central bank. And I think that there's really nothing apart from some of the structural issues that we will continue learning and developing from to stop that.
We just have to interject. I'm sorry, yes, because we've run out of time. But in less than 30 seconds,
yes.
Can individuals without cooperative access the social housing? This is from one of our tweets.
Absolutely,
then
yes.
Another one, Olayinka tweet, can you please ask your guests how they will be able to come up with the same amount for housing units across the country, given disparity in land values and prices in different states?
Okay, the reason for that is basically because the houses are the same and the lands are coming in at no cost into the project. Yeah.
Okay, so can people without cooperative access the housing?
Absolutely, madam, yes.
Okay, this is, how long will the payment from the client be made? I wouldn't know if you have answered the question. Okay, you just joined the program.
Okay.
And is National Social Housing Fund different from NHF?
It is different, and it's 15 years as a minimum.
Okay. Kingsley, any other question?
No, well, it's this is one Usman Banukant. It says from the submissions of the designers, the scheme seems to be robust and well articulated. So, but we also expect that the disbursement of the loans should be equitable, transparent, and devoid of sentiment. Are you disbursing loans?
Yes, we are financiers. We are financing private and public sector developers. That's right.
Yes, you are not, but you are not financing the cooperatives, are you?
No, we are financing the developers. The cooperatives are just mobilizing the
demand.
Yeah, the demand side.
Yes.
Absolutely, that's what we said. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we've said all there is to say. We've asked all there is to ask. We can only wish you the best of luck and hope that Nigerians would, of course, key into it. And then you will do a lot of sensitization and enlightenment for this program. So let me quickly appreciate Femi Adewale, Managing Director, Family Homes Fund of the Ministry of Finance. Thank you very much for coming to share your thoughts with us. Ime Okun, Senior Special Assistant to the President and Infrastructure. It's a pleasure to have you with us. And we hope to see more of you. High Chief Tajuddin Uriyomi Ayola, President, Cooperative Federation of Nigeria. Thank you very much for your input this morning. Thank
you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, and that's it. Good morning, Nigeria, for today. We thank you for joining us once again. Let's do it again tomorrow. I am Claire Dilabu Abdul Razak. Bye-bye.
And I'm Kingsley Osadola. Stay safe and be well.